Anyhow, what do you want to talk about? We want to talk about the guys today. And the ladies, this applies to you too, because, hormones are important for you as well. And, a lot of us out, in fact, up to 40%, approximately 40% of adult males have a testosterone deficiency, according to some estimates. 40%. And so, not everybody out there wants to go to the doctor, and because a lot of physicians today, they're not really into, testosterone replacement therapy, TRT. They're not into that, or they don't know much about it, and so they say, you're fine, when you're not. You got all the symptoms of testosterone deficiency, and you just think, well, maybe I'm getting too old. Well, maybe you're not getting too old, or maybe your testosterone's too low. You just don't know what to do about it, or who to talk to about it. And you really don't want to go and have a shot or put those creams on, which all have all kinds of side effects. Now, I'm 69 years of age. I'll be 70 this coming year. Okay. And there's no way on this earth someone of my age is going to have normal testosterone. It's a fact of life. It's part of aging. You can't eliminate it. And when those levels drop off low, I can tell you what's going to happen. You're going to gain belly fat. That's bad. You're not going to sleep as well. That's bad. Your energy goes down. That's bad. And your sex drive goes to hell in a handbasket. That's real bad. And most men, that's an important thing. It's an important thing to women too. But all those things are important to us. So I asked Paul Eftang, the CEO of Nootropics Depot, who are the manufacturers of Berberine, who I got together with to develop that weight loss product, which is a whole lot better than taking Ozempic without the side effects, to join me in the studio today and talk more about the natural ways that men can boost their testosterone levels up. Paul, welcome to the show.
Hey, Lance. Good to be back.
It's great to have you here. Now, you know all about this stuff because when I visited your facility a few months back, when I became part of your medical advisory team, I was incredibly impressed. And I've been to these types of facilities in the past in California, other parts of the country. Nothing like your place. I want you to know that.
Oh,
and
awesome.
You guys specialize in a variety of different products. One group is hormones. So in regards to natural hormone replacement for males, or how to boost your hormones naturally, tell us more what's out there, okay, and what men can expect, and what Nootropics Depot offers in regards to helping men get their testosterone levels back up to where they should be and try to get some of their youthfulness back.
Well, as you said, since 1987, average testosterone levels have dropped 30%. They're dropping 1% year over year, and there's a number of different factors for that: diet, exercise, environmental factors. But most men don't realize that there's a way to fix that. And a lot of men immediately go to TRT, or testosterone replacement therapy. But what a lot of men don't know about that is once you go down that road, you're committed to it. If you start replacing your testosterone with exogenous testosterone, your body stops making it naturally. So it's good. It gets you kind of feeling younger. It gets your levels back up, but you're very much committed. And they don't necessarily realize that there are some natural alternatives that if you have really, really low testosterone and your production has gone all the way down, TRT might be the way to go. But for most men, the natural alternatives will get your testosterone levels up and keep them there without having your body shut down its natural production. And one of the main ones, and our best-selling product actually, is called Tongkat Ali. And that actually increases free testosterone and total testosterone. So there's two types of testosterone in the body. You have total testosterone and free. And free testosterone is what your body is able to use, but a lot of it is bound into SHBG, serum hormone binding globulin. And what Tongkat Ali does is it increases both total, but then releases it to give you more free testosterone and allow it to go do what it needs to do in the body.
Okay, so you can have high levels of testosterone, but low levels of free testosterone.
Exactly.
Okay, so how do you get sex hormone binding globulin to work better for you?
Well, that's what Tongkat Ali does. It releases that testosterone from it, and then you have free testosterone that can actually go and bind where it needs to go.
Okay, so this free stuff is what gives you the energy, helps you build muscle, the youth stuff of testosterone that makes you young again.
Right, and testosterone has a lot of functions in the body. it usually higher levels in men because it's used for a lot of different processes, but women need it as well. You know, it as part of their libido too.
Now, when you look at testosterone and how it affects males, their health, here's some of the things that are listed. Bone health. Most men don't think about that. Loss of body muscle composition, loss of muscle mass and strength, increased body fat, particularly abdominal fat, cardiovascular health concerns. I mean, when you think of that, cardiovascular health concerns, the number one killer of men in this country is heart disease.
Right.
Okay, potentially increased risk of heart disease and stroke, association with metabolic syndrome, hypertension, abnormal cholesterol levels, cognitive and mental health problems, increased risk of cognitive decline and memory impairment, sexual health. We talked about that earlier. Reduced libido and erectile dysfunction. Of course, one of the top selling drugs in America is Viagra. Okay, when in a lot of cases you could be a testosterone imbalance or lack of that can contribute to erectile dysfunction. Is that correct?
Yeah, for sure. And what a lot of people don't realize is the mood and cognition and motivation effects of testosterone are a big part of it, because if you're down, you have no energy, you're not doing a lot of the stuff in your life that you should be. Working out, exercising,
Right.
eating right, getting outside in the sun. So, you have these knock-on effects. When you start feeling younger and more like you again, then you also take care of those other parts of your life that then improve your life in those areas as well. So a lot of times people don't realize how down they are until they really get their testosterone back up and go, wait, this is how I used to feel.
Yeah, it can contribute to mental health problems too, depression
Exactly.
and whatnot too, and of course lack of motivation, because a lot of you ladies out there, your husbands may, they're in my age group, maybe a little bit older, and you don't have the motivation. You say, well, maybe the reason is because their testosterone levels are low.
Right.
And of course, most of the time when you go, because I go to my doctor a couple times a year, they don't check your testosterone,
No.
never,
Not unless you ask.
unless you ask. Exactly it. So guys out there. Listen to Paul and I. When you go to your doctor again, have them check your testosterone. See what those levels are. And if the levels come in low, okay, or close to being out of range low, okay, that means it's too low. Even if it's not out of range low, because there's a range that it runs from. Paul, what are those, like 350 to 1150 or whatever?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and we've seen some customers have amazing results with Tongkat Ali. They're in the 200-300 range. And after a few weeks of taking Tongkat, they're at 1,000.
Whoa.
So, significant results that we've seen.
Yeah, so, there's natural things that they can do. So, instead of the doctor saying, let me give you a shot, or let me give you some creams you can rub on you, but don't touch your wife with that part of your body, all right, because she may absorb that through her skin too. The natural things, like Paul offers in his company, okay, Tongkat Ali, is that how you say it?
Yes.
Okay.
And what a lot of men don't know also is that estrogen plays a big role in the body. And estrogen is actually formed from testosterone using the aromatase enzyme. And if you start increasing your testosterone exogenously by injecting it, then you can have too high of estrogen, and then you have the side effects of that. So you need a balance between testosterone and estrogen. And the interesting thing about Tongkat is it's an aromatase inhibitor as well. So it'll inhibit too much buildup of estrogen.
So the conversion process is inhibited. It's interfered with.
Right.
Yeah, because you don't want too much estrogen either. Okay, we're talking to the guys. This applies to the ladies too. Okay, about testosterone, and we know that up to 40% of Americans, primarily males, have a deficiency in testosterone. 40. You're looking at a huge number. That's 40% of the population. That's a lot of men. But there's natural ways to boost this thing up. That's why Paul joined me today to talk about what those natural things are. And so I'm going to ask him point blank, Paul.
Yeah.
Libido. What can men do for libido? And the women too, because it's important that you have, two people interested in the same thing together, okay, to make it more enjoyable. And libido is a big thing, particularly as you get older.
Well, as I was saying earlier, testosterone and estrogen both have functions in men and women. So we've had a lot of women take Tongkat and get very similar benefits to the men. So I think culturally we think thought of testosterone as a male hormone and estrogen as a female hormone, but we all use the same hormones, just in different levels. So women naturally increasing their testosterone can help in the exact same way it does with men. And women, as they age, their estrogen starts falling, and that's why their bones get weaker. They get hot flashes. That's all because of a drop in estrogen. So as I said earlier, the estrogen is formed from testosterone. So if we can increase women's testosterone back up, we can actually get women's estrogen naturally back up as well.
And plus, at the same time, that helps them burn body fat more efficiently as well.
Right.
Okay, decrease your risk of developing metabolic syndrome, which is a precursor to diabetes. Okay, increase their energy level. All right, and all the things that are basically tied into testosterone and testosterone itself in general. Okay, and you're saying Tongkat Ali can be used for both males and females then?
Yes, and we have another product called Systanch, and we've created an all-in-one Systanch stack called Systemax, and that also increases testosterone and does it kind of in a couple different mechanisms from Tongkat. So they're really good to take together. I personally take Tongkat with Systemax every day.
Okay, so I'm going to give your website out. So if they want to order, they can go right there. It will say hormones. Okay, is at Nootropics, Nootropics Depot, right? Is that correct?
Nootropics with an S.
Nootropics with an S. NootropicsDepot.com. It'll take you to their webpage. I'll spell it again. Nootropics Depot, Depot.com. Go to the webpage. You'll see all these different categories. Okay, and I mean, they got all kinds of things that are there for pain and you name it. Go to hormones if you're interested in that. You'll see all these different things lined up. So if a person was a first-time user, Paul, tell my listeners what they should actually get.
So we just did a site redesign to try and make it a little bit easier and more approachable because we have hundreds of different products, and it was a little overwhelming for a lot of new people if they didn't know exactly what they already wanted. So there's a button at the top of our site on the homepage that says "Let us help." That'll take you to a quiz, and it'll ask questions about you, what you're looking to accomplish, and then it'll suggest some products for that. So it's really nice for people that are like, okay, I want to do something. I want to get on a good supplement regimen, but I don't know where to start. Starting with the quiz kind of gives you an approachable way to go, okay, now I have an idea of which products I should start with.
So it tells them what they should, based on what they're saying, what the responses are, what would be best for them.
Right. Are you a man, woman? How often do you work out? Any dietary restrictions? What are your primary effects you're looking to achieve? And we spent a lot of time kind of giving the system all this information so that it can give you 4 different products for whatever your answers are.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit something different. Let's talk about a little bit of moods. Okay, a lot of people have a little levels, maybe low levels of depression, okay, or just melancholy. They're just not feeling up to snuff. Okay, they're not sick, they're okay, but just don't have the motivation and whatnot. All right, I'm on your website. Where can they go to look for something to help that out too?
You can just click on the mood section, and then it'll take you right to all the products that are for mood.
Okay, so but again, you fill out that questionnaire, and we'll tell you which one to get.
Yep.
Okay, I've got your website right in front of me. It's
and again,
really easy to follow too.
And we have hundreds of products, so there's anything you can possibly think of. But don't get overwhelmed. There's usability functionalities on there to really guide you where you need to go.
Again, if they fill out the information app, that's what it is, right?
The quiz, yeah.
The quiz, it will guide them to what's best for them.
Yep.
Based on their response to that. Okay. The number here is 602-260-5394, and my guest is Paul Eftang. He's the CEO of Nootropics Depot. Okay, and they're also the makers of Berberine. We're going to touch on that real quickly here too. And when I visited his facility a few months back, I was incredibly impressed. They manufacture everything. How big is that building?
We got about 70,000 square feet
in Tempe.
Yep.
Incredible. I mean, and I've been to facilities in California and other parts of the country, and this by far has been the most impressive one that I visited. Okay, so if you're looking for a place to get your products, nutraceuticals, this would be the company to buy from. Now, you mentioned earlier, before the show started, RFK Jr. And his little spiel of what he's going to do once Trump is sworn in. and his role in our government in regards to cleaning up pharmaceuticals. And you mentioned more nutraceuticals, correct? That he talked about?
Yeah. He sent out a tweet that had a lot of stuff in it. And one of them was kind of reducing our dependence on pharmaceuticals and pushing nutraceuticals more and better diet and improving, the holistic aspects of people's life rather than treating the symptoms of diseases.
Right. And of course, earlier this week, right after Trump was declared the win the presidency, 5 of the top pharmaceutical companies executives sent out an emergency meeting. They wanted to get together and talk about what's going to happen now. Why would you call it an emergency meeting unless you're concerned that your gravy train is going to dry up?
Right.
Because it's going to. Because if he's in charge, he made the comment that he's no more advertising for drugs on TV. 75% of all ad dollars are spent on pharmaceutical products, drugs. Like, okay, to try to convince you it's good for you. All right, that's going to stop. They don't advertise them in Europe. At least when I was there, they didn't. All right, and so what's going to happen then is you get the drug if you need the drug, not because you go and convince the doctor that you need the drug, because you really do need the drug, or you don't need the drug. And of course, the introduction of nutraceuticals, which are natural, where I'm going to say he's not, I'm going to. You can get very similar effects with a lot of natural things than you can with a medication, all right, that's been made in a laboratory. They have all kinds of side effects. Good example, Ozempic, okay, and the other drugs, Manjura, Wegovy, things like that, which have side effects, serious side effects. You can get a similar effect. That's why I got together with Paul and his group of scientists, and we put together Berberine, okay, which works similarly to Ozempic and those medications without the side effects. Plus, other things have been added to the Berberine to boost metabolism and to deal with moods, because we know over 70% of people who have weight issues are emotional eaters. They have emotional issues as well. So, you could take a drug to help control blood sugar and help you lose weight because your blood sugar is more under control, because your appetite goes down, but you're not controlling the mood. You're not getting a grasp on really what's causing the problem. So, Paul, can you talk a few minutes about Berberine, what you guys have put in that product, and how it's so effective in regards to weight loss, okay, and health in general?
So Berberine, the cornerstone of that stack is Berberine. That's why we named it Berberine. And Berberine has very similar effects to what Ozempic's doing, but it's much milder because it's using your body's natural GLP-1 production rather than replacing your body's GLP-1 with a drug that mimics GLP-1. Berberine actually increases your natural GLP-1
all
production.
By itself, naturally increases it.
And then we put saffron in there. So saffron's a really good supplement to improve mood, but it's also shown to reduce stress eating because when your serotonin levels go up, you are less likely to seek out food to make your mood higher.
There you go, absolutely.
And get yourself out of that cycle.
Plus, you put metabolic boosters in there too, right?
Right. Yeah. So we have black ginger in there, which increases thermogenesis. Your body's a natural way of burning fat, and it also improves the libido a bit too, and blood flow. So it's got a lot of really good effects. And then we have a product in there that's Calaban A. It's a product from turmeric that reduces inflammation and pain. So you got a really good rounded stack for overall health.
That's Kirk Cousin, right?
Kirk Cousin, yeah.
That's a cool name.
Right.
Okay, so you can go to Paul's website at nootropicsdepot.com, or you can even just go and type in Berberine, BERBELEAN.com. That will take you to their website as well. Okay, and go to the homepage, and you'll come up to the category that we were talking about where you have a questionnaire to fill out, but you also see hormones, you'll see mood, you'll see metabolism. Berberine we found in the metabolism category. You have gut health, cognition, fitness, immune, tons of different things, okay? So you can do that at nootropicsdepot.com or berberine.com, okay, if you want to order the product. And, of course, that Berberine would be a good way to get a hand on the holiday season too, Paul, because we've got Thanksgiving about 3 weeks away, a little bit less than that. Then we've got Christmas and Hanukkah and New Year's and, all these celebrations where the average American gains between 5 and 10 pounds. this could help control their appetite so they don't gain any weight and possibly lose some during this holiday season.
Right. Yeah, it'll help kind of keep everything in balance. And then we're actually going to release a new stack in January for everybody that, has those New Year's resolutions, want to lose any weight they did gain during the holidays. It's going to be a pure thermogenic stack. So one that'll really increase your fat burning.
And that's important, particularly as you get older, because we know that the thermogenic effect of most older Americans decreases. That's why they get colder easier.
Right.
Correct?
Yeah.
So does that help thyroid function, by the way?
Yeah, it does.
So.
And especially people in the colder environments, it'll also help you deal with the cold when, you're in the winter time.
Yeah, because this podcast goes all over the country, so hopefully they pick it up elsewhere as well.
Right.
All right, Paul, we were talking during the break about regulations.
Yeah.
And how you guys, and I know this because I used to be in this business years back, even though you may have some really good things to say about, nutraceuticals that are scientifically proven to help and work, you're not allowed to say that.
Right.
Otherwise, the FDA comes after you, either shuts you down or fines you big time.
Yeah, what a lot of people don't realize is in this country, the foods we eat and the drugs we take are regulated by the FDA as either a food or a drug. A food is, your diet, what you're eating, and supplements fall under foods. And then you have drugs, which are to treat diseases. The FDA's position is a supplement can't be used to help a disease state because then it would be a drug. So let's say there's research out there that turkey tail mushroom can help with cancer. Even, let's say you're on chemotherapy and you're taking chemotherapy, and there's a scientific study, valid scientific research that says taking turkey tail with your chemotherapy can improve the effects and lower the side effects. Supplement companies can't link that study. They can't talk about that study because the FDA will say, now your turkey tail mushroom is a drug because you are attempting to treat or prevent a disease, which, if you're going through cancer, you're looking for anything that can help. And
that applies to any disease in general.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, any disease, minor or major. And if there's valid scientific research out there, I think we should be able to link it and talk about it, even though we're not attempting to tell you don't take your chemotherapy, take turkey tail instead. That's not the point. The point is there are things that can help, right, and not allowing people to talk about them is actually hurting the American public.
Right. So, but here's the thing you have to be really concerned about. You don't want to become another Canada, or Europe, where the FDA then regulates the nutraceutical industry. All right, and you have to have a drug identification number, and there we go. They have control of everything then. You got to be really careful with that because they will try. Yeah. Because if you threaten their piggy bank, they'll come after you and they'll try to regulate whatever you do and say, well, okay, it's a drug then, when it's not a drug.
Well, and look, there are bad actors in the supplement industry, just like any other industry. Right. So we want to have regulations in place that protect the American public from fraud.
Right.
But, there are good actors that are genuinely trying to help people, and they get caught up in these regulations, and it prevents them from operating properly.
Right, because you can look into some of these research libraries, and what Paul is saying is 100% true when he's talking about different nutraceuticals and how they have an effect on disease to help heal, or help the person do better, less side effects of the medication, all those kinds of things. We know that with Berberine, it's really helpful when it comes to heart failure. Mm-hmm. We know that too, but you can't say that, even though the research coming out of these top universities state that it does. All right. In fact, you can see some comparative studies between Berberine, and metformin. And some of those studies say that Berberine works better than metformin when it helps to control blood sugar. Is that correct?
Right.
Yes, but you can't say that.
And Berberine's been used for thousands of years in cultures all around the world. So this is not a new thing.
So when Paul was talking about with the turkey tail mushroom.
Turkey tail mushroom.
Mushrooms, if I understand that, are in the same family category as our cells, correct?
Well, we're much closer to mushrooms than we are plants.
Yes, exactly. What do you call them? Eukaryotes? Is that what they are?
Well, so a lot of people don't realize that mushrooms breathe in oxygen and out CO2, just like us, the opposite of plants.
And that's why pharmaceutical companies will actually take mushrooms, fungus, okay, and actually make the drugs from that because the metabolic pathways are similar. Am I correct saying that?
Right. And we have a product called Arinamax right now. It's the world's first adenosine A standardized lion's mane. And our partners in Taiwan have actually run studies on it, preventing early onset Alzheimer's, reducing hearing loss in the elderly.
Hey.
Because their system there, you can use nutraceuticals to prevent diseases.
You need to get it with RFK Jr., buddy.
I'd love to.
Well, maybe I can do something there.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try.
Okay.
Okay, if we can get you to sit down with him because he's open to this kind of stuff.
Right.
Okay, and that's what's scaring the pharmaceutical companies and the food companies too, because they know that if you got a guy in there, he has some pull and some power, and he's got a bully pulpit. People are going to pay attention. Say, why aren't you doing this as well? Okay, but if you have stuff out there that helps with Alzheimer's, now you were talking about something that I want to mention before too, about there's a mushroom, I think it's from Korea, that has to do with keeping you from getting sunburn.
Oh, yeah. So right now we're working on a product. It's not a mushroom. It's a seaweed. It's called Aclonia cava, and it's a species of seaweed that is off certain islands off of Japan and Korea. And I was beta testing it for sleep, for mood, for stress. Those are the main things you normally see it for. And I was taking it, and I would go lay out in the sun. And one particular day, it was like a UV index of 14. And I accidentally laid out for 3 hours.
Jesus, holy Christ.
And I did not burn, did not get tan. I'm like, wait, what's going on? So I started to research, and it found that diethol, one of the actives in Aclonia cava, actually stops the UV damage from sun's rays. And then it effectively turns the damaging effects of sun off. It's like an off switch for the sun. It blew me away. So I started doing more testing with it, taking higher doses, sitting out in the sun for longer, and it just stops sunburns orally. You just take this orally, and it just completely stops sunburns. It's crazy.
I mean, that's big. When you're looking at a market like Arizona or Florida, your southern states,
Right.
And you're afraid to stay out in the sun, but put some sunscreen on, which has side effects too. And now you're taking something naturally, which doesn't interfere with the production of vitamin D3, correct?
Right.
Yeah. So, and it keeps you from getting burned.
It's crazy. It would be perfect for people here in Arizona.
How close are you coming out with this stuff?
Probably in the first quarter of next year, so early 2025. We had to set up a whole supply chain in Korea. We actually opened a small office there where we can do sampling and testing before it gets shipped over here. Because it's a protected species. You're not allowed to go out and rip it, out of the seafloor. You have to wait for it to wash up on shore. And that's all dependent on whether they have typhoons that come through. So if it's a year without typhoons, you get less Aclonia cava.
Can you grow it?
We're trying to figure out if you can do that, maybe in like bioreactors, because that would be a really efficient way to do it. Do it here, in the United States in bioreactors, and then we're less dependent on the cycles of typhoons.
Okay, so you're limited, basically, what you're saying, the amount that you can actually harvest.
Right. Yeah, and last year there weren't very many typhoons in Korea, so at the moment the supply is really low.
Okay, do you need to take a lot of it?
No. I was taking 500 milligram doses.
Man, if you can harvest that stuff, if you can actually grow it, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, if anybody can figure it out, it's you. I can tell you that right now.
We're going to do it.
Okay. So anyhow, I want you to do me a favor. Give your website out again. If anyone wants to order product from Nootropics Depot, they can do that for metabolism, skin health, pain, longevity, focus, cardiovascular, cognition, energy, hormones, mood, sleep, stress, motivation, immune system, and fitness as well.
Yeah,
okay.
We got a lot.
Okay.
And we also have an Amazon store too. So you can go to nootropicsdepot.com, or you can go to amazon.com/nootropicsdepot.
Okay. Or you can go berberine.com, and their homepage is right there as well. Okay, we're going to take a break. And after the break, we're going to talk more about pain. We'll be right back. Welcome back to The Good Life with Lance for Dr. Fitness. My guest today is Paul Eftang. He's from Nootropics Depot. He's the founder, owner, CEO, and we're talking about all kinds of great things. And we're just talking about stuff from South Korea, this seaweed, to help keep you from getting sunburn. Can you imagine? What's it called again, Paul?
Aclonia cava.
Okay. Some of the names are difficult to say. But
and be careful right now. Any of the Aclonia cava in the United States is fake. So this is one of the reasons why we did this, because we tested it, and The people selling a Colonia Cava in the U.S. right now are just selling a different seaweed and calling it that.
Okay, and calling it that. So that's yeah. Anyhow, you introduce this, man. You better be ready.
I know.
Because Arizona itself,
Yeah.
anyhow, we want to talk about pain. Okay, because one of the things that even a person of my fitness level, as we get older, we have some degrees of pain. It's just process of aging. Not fun. Not fun at all. Of course, what we're told to do now, okay, and we have for many years, you have some pain, take some Aleve. Have some pain, take some Tylenol. Have some pain, take Motrin. All right, I mean, these are drugs. Most people, I know I don't like to do that kind of stuff. You try to avoid it. All right, so when we look at pain in general, naturally, you guys got a product called Relievex.
Yeah.
Which is really good stuff. Really good. Explain to our audience how it actually works and what's in it.
So Relievex, we started developing because we brought out a kava extract. Kava is a root from Polynesia, the Polynesian islands, and it's used kind of for stress. But the specific extract that we got from Fiji was very muscle relaxing. So some of the kava lactones, the actives in it, are more muscle relaxing. So we wanted to build a stack around it for pain and reducing, the tightness of muscles. Because as you know, when your muscles start getting knotted up and tight, they start pulling, and it just causes more and more pain. If you can relax those muscles, you can really improve that pain level.
Yeah, because most pain that most people have, even as they get older, is more muscular. Okay, not joint pain. It's more muscular pain. That's why, when you rub my back, that feels so good. It feels,
Right.
I got knots all over the place. So it helps with that type of pain. If you've got joint pain from arthritic joints, it's going to be minimal as far as what it can do. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then part of that stack, so that's kind of the cornerstone of the stack, but then we have a bunch of other stuff in it. One of them is a supercritical CO2 ginger. And, everybody knows ginger, but ginger has really good pain anti-inflammatory effects, especially in the stomach, but around the whole body.
It does. That's not the black ginger, is it?
No, this is regular ginger.
Different ginger.
Yeah.
Okay. What else does it have in there?
It's got maca, which is a root from Peru. And the macamides that are in it actually bind to your endogenous endocannabinoid receptors. So a lot of people, they're taking cannabis these days for
Opioids.
pain. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the maca hits that system and gives you that same sort of pain-killing anti-inflammatory effect.
Yeah, without taking THC in.
And it improves libido. So, it comes back to the libido thing. We released Relievex, and we just had a post on our subreddit the other day saying, hey, is anybody getting massive libido from Relievex? Which we didn't even design it for it, but, it's a nice side effect.
Yeah, I would think so.
And then we've got, it's a long word, but palmitoyl ethanolamide. And that's a fatty acid amide that your body makes naturally. But as you get older, your body makes less and less of it, which is part of why as you get older, you just get more aches and pains. So we're replacing that, giving you that palmitoyl ethanolamide to reduce that inflammation around the body.
Okay, so are you the one doing the formulations? Or you have scientists in there doing those with you?
Me and scientists. So I'm always kind of at the forefront. I'm passionate about this. This is my life's passion. So I'm always in there.
Sure the heck can tell. I'll tell you what, because you guys have so many products too. I know when I was there, you were actually growing some mushrooms there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. And we were growing a bunch of different species of lion's mane to see if different species make more or less of the actives.
Okay, talk more about lion's mane, because that's used a lot, I think, in products.
Yeah, so lion's mane, we've been doing lion's mane research for 9 years now. We have a whole mushroom research lab. And lion's mane is kind of the cognitive enhancing, mood enhancing mushroom. And they look kind of like lion's manes, big white fluffy balls that grow on hardwoods
Right.
in the forests. And there's 2 life stages. One is the mycelium, which is kind of like the root system, and then
Right.
the fruiting body, which is what you would think of as a mushroom. And there's different actives in both. So I mentioned Arinamax earlier. That's a liquid culture of the mycelium, and that is standardized to adenosine A. And that increases nerve growth factor, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. And actually, my mom, when she was pregnant with me, she used to be a violinist, and she was cutting up some vegetables one day, cut the tip of her finger off, and caused nerve damage. And ever since then, if she tries to press on that finger, it causes a bunch of nerve pain. So she had to stop playing violin. We brought out our Arinamax, and she started taking it. After 3 weeks, it was probably like 10 p.m. and she goes to bed early. So I'm like, what's going on? I pick up the phone, and she's crying, saying, the feeling in my finger is coming back. She, after 38 years, the feeling in her finger started coming back because of 3 weeks on this Arinamax. So
now, where do you find it on your website?
It should be under the mood section, but it's just ERINAMAX, Arinamax.
Yeah, I've got your website right here. I'm pulling it up right now.
And that's the one I was mentioning earlier. Our partners in Taiwan did research on it, preventing early onset Alzheimer's, reducing hearing loss in the elderly. Really, really cool effects.
Okay, and what's it called on your website?
Just Arinamax.
Yeah, it's not in that section.
Oh, it should be under the mood section.
Okay, let me go back again. Okay, listeners, be patient. Okay.
Oh.
ERINAMAX. I'm a two-finger typist, that's why. There it is, right here. Okay. So, Arinamax. I'm going to spell it again. I'm sure people are going to want to get this stuff, okay? It's ERINAMAX.
Yep, and it's on our Amazon too, so you can get it from both.
All right, so we're you have some really unique products.
Yeah.
And there's so many of them. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, just put it this way. Okay, Paul and his gang have done a lot of research, a lot, okay, and they back this stuff up with science. All right, so and one of the things that you and I we talked about when we first met was the fact that a lot of vitamin companies, what's in that product, really not in that product, and so
right,
you have to. His stuff is okay. So when you're getting this stuff, you're getting the real thing. All right.
And I just hired a new science director, Ellie. She's got a PhD in plant chemistry.
Jeez, holy moly.
And we're building out a cell culture part of our lab. So we're going to start doing cell culture assays to prove that these products actually do certain things in certain cells.
Okay, I have someone just send me a text. What about high blood pressure?
Yeah, I mean, Berberine would be really good for that. I think that's probably what I would suggest a lot of people for any metabolic kind of baseline.
So Jeremiah, this helps with, you go to the website. It will say hormones, because he's asking about testosterone too. Go to the hormone section. Okay, fill out the questionnaire. They'll tell you what's best for you, and you'll see when you go to the metabolism. All right, you'll see Berberine. That's BERBELEAN. Okay, and it can help with high blood pressure and whatnot as well. Okay?
Yeah, I would say Berberine and Systemax. Take those two together. You're getting your testosterone. You're getting your metabolism. It'd be a really good base.
Semi-year's worth.
Yeah.
Paul, I appreciate you joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Again, for our listeners, Paul's going to come back once a month. He's said he'd do that. Okay, great show. You can go to his website at Nootropics. It's NOOTROPICS Depot, DEPOT.com. Okay, if you want to order products, fill out that app. Okay, to tell you what's best for you, the questionnaire, and then go from there. Paul, you have a nice weekend, my friend.
You too. Thank you.
You've listened to Good Life with Lance and Dr. Fitness. See you next week.